All right, perfect. We are recording. Okay, so we wanted to make sure you can all see and hear us tonight. So a fun test that we were hoping you could do is that if you could all write in the chat box the name of the very first competition you ever officiated at. If you can take a minute to think about that. And if you can't think of the name of the competition, but if you could just put in like the city or the town that it was in, it'll be kind of fun to see that. Oh, good memory. Quick. Holy. Whew. Awesome. All right. You guys can hear me. That is clear. Amazing. That'll be fun to go over afterwards. Okay, there's a few more coming in. So old, I can't remember who wrote that. Right on. Okay, great. Thank you for doing that. That's super fun. Okay, great. Teresa, if you don't mind putting up the PowerPoint, and then we will get started with the rest of the information. All right, in the meantime, what are some other ones? I like the question marks. Shawville Invitational, maybe? Summer Sizzle, lots of Summer Sizzles. Grand River, something in Winnipeg. Cool. Skate Dharma. Mary Rose. All right, here we go. Okay, excellent. Thanks, Teresa. Okay, so the first slide here, if you can go to the next one. Looks like we're having some technical. Okay, that's okay. We don't need slides for now. So really a quick overview is that of what we'll be covering this evening. So we'll be going through the sectional series event format overview. We'll be covering remote officiating, equipment requirement for remote officiating, the assignment process, as well as information on training. And we'll finish off with next steps and answering any questions that you may have. Okay, so we'll get moving forward. Sorry, Teresa, I guess it's not working. There we go, round two. All right. All right, now we're in business.
Did
okay.
It switch over?
Yes.
Perfect.
Maybe one more slide. There we go. Okay. Just really like my icons, so I want to make sure everyone sees them. Okay, here we go. All right, so I always like to start off with guiding principles to set the stage to let everyone know how we've been planning and making decisions for this upcoming season, specifically with the sectional series. So this year, more than ever, I think it's really important to share these principles with all of you as we continue to have restrictions within our province. And the reality of Ontario opening up is not so much of a flip of a switch as we once thought it was. For our events, our guiding principles include the first one, plan for event formats that will not get canceled as best as we can. The second one, provide a safe, progressive, and effective return to competition for skaters at each developmental stage. And the third one, to be cognizant of Ontario's regulations. So the number one ask from coaches since our first consultations back in February and March was that we plan event formats that would not get canceled so that skaters could have an opportunity to count on and that they could plan for. Coaches understood that could require an adjustment to formats and delivery, but it was really important that skaters could count on something, and that would far outweigh trying to plan competitions that might get canceled. This has been an incredibly helpful guiding principle for us moving forward and through the planning process. The second principle is to provide a safe and progressive and effective return to competition for skaters at each developmental stage. This acknowledges that skaters have been on and off the ice in different intervals over the past 15 months. And when we return to competition, we really want it to be safe. And we also want to build an effective progression with event formats throughout the season at every developmental stage. So you will notice as I go through event formats that there is a progression as time goes on, and this is by design. Thirdly, we are bound by the Ontario government's regulations, and we will deliver competition and performance opportunity formats that meet those regulations. We know that other provinces are opening up at a much different rate than we are, but we are in Ontario, so we will follow those posted regulations. Now that you're aware of the guiding principles, I'm going to go through the event format overview. So we have 3 event formats for the sectional series, as you can see here with the 3 color gradients. You will see a progression of these events from July to November. From July to September, we are organizing hubs based on public health units, and officiating will be remote. This ensures that skaters are not traveling or required to stay in any hotels. There will be a referee and Skate Ontario videographer on site with Skate Ontario event staff. The filming will take place over a week or so basis, really depending on ice availability. And there will be a dedicated officiating weekend each month. Teresa and Michelle will cover this in more detail later on. In October, which is the middle peach color here on the chart, all skaters will be skating in one location, but the officiating will be remote. We're targeting for live remote officiating for this event, as all the skaters will be in one location. So our goal is to have a live feed direct from the arena to you as officials for live remote officiating. In November, for the sectional championships, the plan is to have officials and skaters on site with officials, and that is the progression for the skaters leading up into the sectional championships. In this chart, you'll also see that there's 3 different skater groups. This just shows that there's a progression that is different for each level of skaters, so it can vary. So to summarize, for you as officials, July to October will be remote officiating, and November is planned with officials and skaters on site. October, we're planning for live remote officiating, while July to September, skaters will be filmed in advance and officials will be officiating those filmed videos. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Michelle.
Cool, I didn't know I was next, so here we go. So just an overview of what we mean by remote officiating. So for this season, we'll be using Skate Canada remote officiating. For those of you who were involved last year in any of these Skate On events, this is a different format. This is the format that we used for sectionals and for those of you who were also involved in challenge. So this includes sectional hub locations. The target skaters for these events are train to train and above. So categories would include pre-juvenile to senior. Officials will be required to access the Skate Canada remote server, and all officials will be doing their jobs. So the tech panel and the judges as a panel at the same time. And as I've said, it's different equipment requirements than the Skate On format that we used for our events, some of our events last year. Okay, so I think we are heading over to Teresa.
There we go. So how does remote scoring work? So this slide here just kind of gives you a little bit of an overview. It kind of really may look confusing, but once you actually go through it, it really isn't that confusing at all. So this slide here shows us that remote scoring connects officials electronically so that you can perform the same duties like you would as if you were sitting rinkside watching the skaters skate on the ice. Each panel of officials is connected to each other through a video replay chat function, as well as through service technicians. So usually what happens is all the officials will start off in one Zoom room, have some technical checks in regards to make sure that your video as well as your microphone is working, and that you can access and see the video feed and replay tool. And then once that's all been completed, then the judges will leave that room and they will go into their own Zoom room. And that you can clearly see here. So the tech panel is in one Zoom call with the service technician. The judges are in another room with the service technician. The data specialist actually connects to the judges room, and the service technicians are the people that communicate back and forth between the various rooms. What are you going to see on your screen? You're going to see the same scoring interface, just like you do if you were up on the judges panel looking at the screen. And we have service technicians that will help provide technical support to the officiating panels throughout the event. Just because sometimes we know there's some little glitches that may happen, and usually you just bend over and you look down at the data specialist, or you look over at the tech panel. Well, unfortunately, you can't do that this time. So that's what the service technicians will assist you with. And we will go through all of this when we do more extensive training on remote scoring. So what are some equipment requirements? You're going to need a webcam, the technical panel, and the judging panel. You're going to need a headset port. You're going to need a high-speed and reliable internet connection. And this is really important, especially for people who may be thinking that they want to access their internet, maybe at their camp or their cottage, just to make sure that you do have reliable internet connection. Even some people at home, just because of where you live, it may not be fast enough to keep up with the CSS program. We recommend wired connection via a LAN cable, as well as if you can't do that, that you connect via Wi-Fi and you set up your system as close as you can to your Wi-Fi router. Again, we'll discuss a little bit more of this when we do your training. Your laptop could be we'll just the next slide. So for your laptop, you ask either a laptop or a desktop computer. The remote officiating platform, the CSS, it doesn't work on a tablet, an iPhone, or a smartphone. So you do have to have at least a PC or a Mac. And as you can see on the screen, those are the equipment requirements. We do know that computers not meeting these requirements may support the use of the tools, but we cannot guarantee it. And while we're trying to go through and officiate a skater or the panel all ready to go, that's not the time for us to find out that the equipment's not going to work. Again, you're going to need 2 screens. So that would be 2 computer screens, or a computer screen and a tablet for the remote officiating platforms. You can view the video feed and replay tool on a tablet. Again, make sure you have a strong internet connection and a good quality headset with an integrated microphone. Using the microphone on your laptop or your desktop is not sufficient. As well as you'll need to make sure that you have a cell phone or a phone close to where you are going to be situated, just in case a service technician would have to reach out to you. So what's going to be our assignment process? This process really doesn't differ too much than what it has in the past. An availability survey will be sent out in the JET communication this Friday, June 25th. And unfortunately, we do have a really short turnaround time, Sunday, July 4th. And that's just because of all the extensive training that has to happen with this process. The list of identified officials will then be communicated to the tech rep. The tech rep from the availability list will identify what officials they're going to invite, and that's going to be based on the certifications, their training requirements, as well as their availability. I will reach out to all the officials and send them an invitation. As well, officials just need to be reminded that they need to make sure that they've completed their Skate Canada registration, their Respect in Sport, which needs to be completed every 3 years, Rowan's Law, as well as Code of Ethics. And both Rowan's Law and Code of Ethics have to be completed annually. The training will be scheduled approximately 2 to 3 weeks prior to the start of the event. The required sessions may take here we probably more like an hour and a half to 2 hours each, but most likely an hour and a half. And then for those officials that are familiar with the Skate Canada remote scoring, so like Michelle mentioned, maybe they partook in sectionals last year or in another competition, such as the Skate Canada Challenge or with another section, they're going to be required to attend the second session only. Unless they want to join us for a refresher, that's not a problem. Just let me know. Over to Michelle.
Okay, so I just actually want to thank all the data specialists that are on this call, and for those of you that were on a webinar a short time ago, I get to see your smiling faces twice in 2 weeks, so hello, really happy to see you. I just want to give a real brief overview of the assignment process as it pertains only to the sectional series. So I too will be sending out an availability survey this Friday. It is also due on July 4th. The DS committee will meet and will complete those assignments, and I'll notify all assigned DS no later than July 19th, likely a little bit earlier. And once all the DS that have been assigned confirm their availability, I will send out a master assignment list to all active data specialists. And as Teresa mentioned, DS are reminded to ensure that they have also completed their Skate Canada registration, Respect in Sport, Rowan's Law, and Code of Ethics. Also, just so you're aware, the availability survey will include the events for August, September, October, and the sectional championships for data specialists, okay? Okay, and then as far as requirements for data specialists, so for remote events, you will need your own laptop. You may prefer to also have a second screen like a monitor, or to network another laptop with your first one. It's just simply a matter of choice. I know myself, when I'm assigned as a data specialist, I do prefer to have the two screens. The assigned computer data specialist will need to download the latest CSS software version, so version 21.00.00. So for those of you who joined me 2 weeks ago, this is an update. It is available on the Skate Ontario DS SharePoint, and if you have any trouble logging into that SharePoint site, please let me know, and we'll work our way through it to get you that access. All the other assigned DS for these events of the sectional series, you will not need to download CSS. Of course, you're welcome to, but you will not need to, as you will be accessing the database on the remote server. And all assigned DS will do some training 2 to 3 weeks before your assigned event. A reminder that all interested DS who want to learn about remote officiating and to take part, you will absolutely be providing that training for you, as well as opportunities for refreshers if you so desire. So stay tuned for that. And back to Teresa.
So welcome to all our event technicians. I know it's been a very quiet year for all of you. So for this season, thank you to our music team. They've indicated that via Ross, that they will take care of uploading the music to the computers that we are going to use at our video hubs. Unfortunately, we're not in a position to have event technicians on site for any of the July hubs. And a decision will be made at a later date as to whether event technicians will be on site for our hubs from August and September. We will have minimum number of event technicians on site for the October hub. Stay tuned for further information. So we've made a lot of mention in regards to hubs and dates. So I'm just going to speak to the officiating dates. So for what we referred to as the July hub, those dates, those videos will be officiated August 7th and 8th. Our August hub will be officiated August 20th to the 22nd. September Hub will be officiated September 30th to October 3rd. And our October Hub is being officiated October 12th to the 15th. Please make sure to note that the 12th to the 15th is during the week. We understand that may not be ideal for everybody. However, that's our goal, to officiate during those days as well. And unfortunately, that was the only time that we could obtain the ice. So like I said, we're going to do our best because our goal is to officiate from the 12th to the 15th. We may have to make some modifications. As well as with all the other hubs, they may have been identified as a 2 or a 3 or a 4-day event. However, based on registration, just like at any competition, these dates may also be modified.
Okay, so we've come to our slide on questions and next steps. And one question that I imagine that many of you may have may pertain to vaccination, and whether this will be a requirement for officials when they are on site. And what I can tell you now is that this point in time, and until there's further clarification from the government, we are not in a position as an organization to require officials to be fully vaccinated, at least for these summer hubs. This is a planning item, obviously, and there's much unknown. And we hope that when we get closer to November and for the sectional championships, that we will have more clarity from the government. We know that many of you are partially or fully vaccinated, and certainly public health strongly recommends that all Canadians do so. So, hopefully that's something that you are considering, but we do ask for your patience and to wait further info on that. Okay, so at this point in time, I do invite anybody who may have any questions to either type them into the chat box, or if you want to raise your hand using the hand icon, please feel free. Oh, you guys are good. Okay.
So Paul Mallet has a question.
Yes.
Hey, Paul.
Thanks so much for the presentation. That was really clear and efficient. I appreciated that. I'm just wondering, is there going to be an opportunity for official evaluations, like to work towards promotion, even though these things are being done in a sort of weird way?
So Paul, are you asking generally or specific to data specialists?
Well, in my case, specific to data specialists.
So at this point in time, there are plans to provide those opportunities. And at this point in time, we're also hoping that we have a lot of on-site opportunities, more so in the new year. But we are also seeking clarification about, specific to data specialists, about remote and how that may impact. So yes, we've asked the question, seeking more information, and but yeah, the plan is hopefully that will be something that we can do this year.
Great, thanks.
And I can address that in regards to for judges as well as tech officials. With consultation with the JET committee, a decision has been reached that no promotions will be based solely on remote officiating. So what that means is if you are waiting for a phase 2, right now the decision has been made that you will have to wait for an in-person event to complete your phase 2. For those judges that are working on reports going towards promotion, again, we will not look at or consider promotion based solely on remote officiating. You can have a combination of in-person, so that would have been pre-pandemic, with some remote officiating. Otherwise, you'll have to wait until we return back to the ice surface. And as many of you can appreciate, it's just the stressors are different for judges and tech panel, whether you are viewing skaters at home on your screen compared to being rinkside.
Okay, Kelsey, if you want to unmute yourself, maybe you'd like to take this question.
Yes.
From Mary. So will there at least be COVID questionnaire when we register in person so that if someone is feeling sick or is looking sick, they won't be allowed to attend?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have COVID protocols and screening protocols like you would experience anywhere else for all our competitions moving forward, as long as we need to. Absolutely.
Okay. Jeff asked, what will be the plan for rooming at live events?
Yeah, it's a great question. We're still working on it, and we'll have more details closer to November for that first event. So just working through that stuff at the moment. But good question.
Teresa, for you, for judges, will any software need to be downloaded?
You don't actually have to, you're not downloading anything onto your computer per se. You're going to access the CSS program through Skate Canada's remote server. There will be instructions that will walk you through that process. You will be provided with a login information so that you can access that part on the Skate Canada server, but it's not like you're downloading an app, a program onto your computer.
Does anybody else have any other questions that they'd either like to type into the chat box, or you can put up your hand icon? You can also feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question if you'd like. So Lisa, you were late. I'm shocked. That's not like you at all. Will the presentation be available online? Yes, the recording will be made available to everybody. Oh, and Laura, it just says a reminder that you will need a Microsoft account for Skate Canada.
So the program does work on an Apple computer, but you will have to have Microsoft for Windows for your Mac in order for it to work.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Awesome. Okay, well, I think if there's nothing else, Kelsey, I'm going to turn it back to you to wrap things up.
Great. Thanks, Michelle. Well, that's great. We're down in lots of time, so you all are welcome for your extra 30 minutes on a beautiful June evening. But yeah, thank you very much for attending tonight, and you know how to get a hold of any of us if you have some questions. Thank you for your understanding and patience in this continued time of uncertainty and adjustment. It's really, we really thank you for your continued involvement and engagement. It's great to see so many people here tonight that are still really keen. And we're looking forward to this next part of the season and what the rest of the year has to bring. And we'll make sure to keep you updated as we continue with our planning and have more information to share with you. We're committed to that always. Happy that we can see you here tonight. So thanks again, and looking forward to seeing you all shortly. Thanks again.
Thanks, everybody.